my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF. Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up. When normal people read that San Francisco has basically legalized shoplifting, they think Democrats have gone nuts. They think, you know, that Ted Cruz guy seems like a real stiff. But at least he believes in the concept of shopping with money.
Ma is back once again, and he is going straight at the left like always. And truthfully, people still cannot stop watching it. This time, the outspoken comedian called out the Democrats for one major reason. They kept turning away their own longtime supporters until many of those voters started moving to the other side instead. His remarks are the kind that do not fade away quickly, they stay in people's minds long after the conversation ends. So, if you are done with weak political debates and you want direct, unfiltered commentary that hits hard, then you are exactly where you need to be. Hit that subscribe button and stay with us because what comes next is even bigger.
It's too early to strategize. Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast.
Get ready for this one because the left truly believes voices like Joe Rogan are one of the biggest reasons they keep losing support, and once you notice it, it becomes impossible to ignore. Look at the last few years and suddenly there has been a wave of left-leaning podcasts appearing everywhere. Nearly all of them are trying to recreate Rogan's long-form, relaxed, question-driven style. From a distance, it may look like a smart adjustment. But up close, it feels more like an imitation without any real identity behind it. They copied the format while completely missing the reason people connected with it in the first place. And that is exactly where the entire strategy starts breaking apart. What they still fail to understand is that audiences did not follow Rogan because of the atmosphere alone. They followed him because of the unpredictability, the direct honesty, and his willingness to challenge even people on his own side without hesitation. That kind of authenticity cannot be copied. It cannot be scripted. It cannot be artificially created. And now Ma is stepping in to tear apart this entire copycat approach and explain why it is not only a weak strategy, but one that is almost certain to fail.
I don't think his mind is completely inflexible. His neck, yes. But not his mind. And he's expressed unease with some things Trump is doing, as has a certain disgruntled former employee named Elon Musk, who, like Joe, is another guy who 5 years ago was thought of as a liberal, but got driven into the other camp by bad attitudes and bad ideas, a reversal I completely understand, although I would never emulate. I also see the woke mind virus. I just don't jump from frying pans into fire.
Right here, Maher puts his entire argument out in the open. He explains how the left damaged its own image and eventually pushed people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk away from the Democratic side completely. His message is direct, clear, and straight to the point. According to him, much of it started with the rise of woke culture, something he believes created serious division across the country. A very vocal group began promoting ideas and policies that many everyday Americans simply could not relate to or support. And on top of that, people felt like they could not even question those ideas without facing backlash. The moment someone disagreed, they were attacked online, heavily criticized, or publicly targeted almost immediately. In his view, that is not open discussion, it is pressure used to silence disagreement. He points to Representative Seth Moulton, who spoke out against biological men competing in women's sports. Even though he was a liberal Democrat, many people from his own side quickly turned against him. Maher's main point hits hard. The moment a movement stops accepting different opinions, it begins losing support from within. And more than anything else, he believes that shift is what divided the political base and changed the direction of American politics.
I watched the evolution of both these guys. This didn't happen overnight. In 2022, before he owned Twitter, Elon tweeted this chart depicting how he felt about the liberal side having shifted so much that it left a basically liberal centrist like him now labeled a conservative. I related to the kind of mean girl shit you get from the cool kids in Wokeville when you're perceived that way. They tried real hard to cancel Rogan a few years ago. And when Elon hosted Saturday Night Live in 2021, well before he was a Trumper, some of the cast members gave him the cold shoulder for the sin of being rich.
Now Maher focuses directly on Joe Rogan and Elon Musk to explain how the political divide in America became so intense. He says that years ago, people from completely different political sides could sit together, argue about politics, and still walk away respecting each other. Back then, the attitude was simple. Put America first and politics second. But according to Maher, that mindset slowly began to disappear. He argues that the left moved further toward more extreme positions and became less willing to hear different opinions. Instead of debating conservatives, many people simply stopped engaging with them at all. The moment someone was viewed as right-leaning, the conversation often ended before it even started. That kind of change does not only damage friendships, it changes the culture around public discussion itself. Trust between both sides started fading away, political differences became personal barriers, and labels began to matter more than actual conversations. Now the distance between both sides feels larger than ever, and many people no longer see political opponents as competitors with different ideas. They see them as dangers to the country, and according to Maher, that mindset is one of the biggest reasons the division keeps growing stronger.
Not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF. Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up.
According to Maher, these are not exaggerated claims at all. He starts listing ideas that he believes pushed politics into a dangerous direction and could have seriously harmed the country if they had continued gaining support. One example he brings up is the push for canceling rent payments, while asking the question many people felt was ignored. If rent disappears, then who is supposed to pay for maintaining the buildings and keeping everything running? He also talks about the defund the police movement, which became a major slogan across the country but, in his view, was never matched with a clear plan for protecting communities or reducing crime. Another example he points to is the growing effort to criticize or remove historical figures like Abraham Lincoln, often without much context or deeper discussion. To Maher, these ideas were not just small fringe debates happening online. He believes they slowly became part of mainstream political conversation, and that is what made the situation so serious. In his opinion, this was not real progress but a movement creating confusion, division, and instability. He argues that if these trends had continued unchecked, they could have caused long-term damage to the country, especially during a major election season with figures like Kamala Harris leading the ticket.
Alienation should be a good issue for Democrats. It's certainly one they're associated with. And I think the average voter would agree that banks and chemical plants and drug companies need watching. Telling a company, you can't dump the waste from your hog farm straight into the water supply. We're mostly all for that. But Democrats have become a parody of themselves, just making rules to make rules because it makes you feel like you're a better person. Making sure that everything bad never happens again, which you can never fully do. It just makes everyone else's life a drag.
Another point Maher strongly focuses on is overregulation and how he believes it made everyday life far more complicated for ordinary Americans. According to him, rule after rule kept piling up until simple tasks started feeling trapped inside endless paperwork and restrictions. Most of it, he says, came with the same explanation that it was all being done to prevent problems and keep people safe. But in reality, many people felt it created frustration instead of convenience. Everyday responsibilities slowly turned into long and exhausting processes. He points to places like California, where even small home projects, such as building a shed or replacing a garage door, can involve permits, inspections, and long waiting periods. Planning a kitchen renovation can also mean dealing with environmental checks, zoning requirements, and expensive compliance costs before any real work even begins. According to Ma, small business owners face even more pressure. Opening a simple cafe can require months of paperwork, difficult licensing steps, and regulations so strict that many people feel overwhelmed before opening day even arrives. His main argument is clear. Once regulation becomes excessive, it stops helping people and starts working against them instead. What was meant to create structure can eventually create delays, confusion, and a system that feels impossible for regular people to navigate.
Normal people read that San Francisco has basically legalized shoplifting. They think Democrats have gone nuts. They think, that Ted Cruz guy seems like a real stiff. But at least he believes in the concept of shopping with money.
Beyond the issue of regulation, Mars also argues that the left became far too lenient when it came to crime, and he believes the consequences appeared quickly. In his view, more attention was placed on explaining criminal behavior than on enforcing strong policies that clearly held people responsible for their actions. He specifically points to California, where changes to theft laws and the way certain crimes were handled led many people to feel that stealing from stores no longer carried serious consequences. Whether every claim was completely accurate or not, Mars says the impact on public confidence was impossible to ignore. Businesses suffered major losses, many neighborhoods started feeling less secure, and critics argued that the overall message coming from these policies created confusion about where the limits actually were. His warning is direct and simple. Once laws begin to feel optional instead of consistent, public order starts weakening. And according to Mars, if that attitude ever spread across the entire country, it could create serious instability, leaving ordinary people dealing with the consequences while trust in the system continues to fall apart.
Trump says that woke is officially dead, capitals. You gotta cloud some of this shit. You just officially dead at Brown. After that, their settlement with the administration, what do you make of the president's war on the academy? I don't know what the academy. I think he means.
Higher education.
I think the person means academia.
Academia. Well, the
this
academy.
person should go to an academy. War on the academy. Yes, on academia. I'm not totally against it.
Yeah.
Academia needed a hot poker up the ass.
What Ma calls woke culture did not remain inside politics alone. According to him, it also spread heavily through universities and college campuses. These schools were once known as places where ideas could be challenged, debated, and tested through open discussion and critical thinking. But Ma argues that many campuses quickly gave in to social pressure and began accepting new cultural trends without questioning them. Instead of encouraging debate, he believes universities started supporting the same ideas they were supposed to examine more carefully. Classrooms that once welcomed different opinions slowly became more one-sided, and students with opposing views often felt dismissed before they even had the chance to fully speak. He also points to the growing focus on personalized pronouns across campuses, saying it became a major part of student culture and reflected a much larger change taking place underneath. In Ma's opinion, the issue was never only about language. He believes it showed how universities were moving away from open thinking and towards social conformity. His warning is simple but strong. When colleges stop encouraging real discussion and begin rewarding only one acceptable viewpoint, they lose the purpose they were originally meant to serve and risk becoming echo chambers instead of places built for learning and discovery.
What about the younger people in your party, though? How are you going to get them to understand, no matter how many times people like Jamie and I say to them, the world is a complicated place, and it's not just about oppressor and oppressed. They have a thought in their head that white people did some very bad things, and white people did some very bad things. And they're all but so did everybody else in the world. But they don't know that. They just see the world through this one prism. And until they do, I don't think you're going to get them off this issue. And I don't think the Democratic Party is going to be able to go forward until they make a decision. Whose side are you on here? Are you on the side of Western civilization and Western values, or are you on the side of the terrorists? Are you with those kids? Because, Mandami, he's the perfect candidate for them.
Yep.
That's what they think is cool.
According to Maher, the same woke culture he criticizes became so deeply rooted in student life that it even began shaping how many young people view major global conflicts. He points to protests on certain college campuses that critics believe showed sympathy toward groups like Hamas, creating reactions that shocked many older Americans. In these debates, some people felt the narrative had completely flipped, with victims being portrayed negatively while violent groups were sometimes described as oppressed or justified. Maher argues that this did not happen by accident. In his view, it was the result of years of one-sided ideological influence where a single perspective slowly replaced balanced discussion and independent thinking. He believes that when students repeatedly hear only one version of complicated issues, it eventually changes the way they process events and react to difficult situations. Many people would argue that students are simply speaking freely and expressing personal beliefs. But Maher sees a much deeper problem underneath it all. According to him, it reflects a system where education slowly shifts away from open learning and begins pushing students toward emotional narratives instead of encouraging critical thinking and honest debate.
Our universities have been out of control for a long time. They became indoctrination factories. They forgot there's absolutely no diversity of thought.
Well, and they're continuing to racially discriminate against the law, as the Supreme Court ruled 2 years ago.
There's a lot of inefficiencies. The overhead in higher education, why it's so much more expensive than when I went. The overhead is very high, but I also want to be really clear that Donald Trump is not interested in making them more efficient or getting rid of overhead or dealing with affordability. This is his woke culture war. This is his culture war against things that he doesn't believe in and want to see, and it's actually extending to our service academies.
Well,
West
you don't
Point,
have to
Air
be
Force
Donald
Academy.
Trump to think that there's been something rotten on campuses for quite a long time.
In the end, Maher delivers a message that is direct, simple, and hard to ignore. He argues that once ideology starts overpowering common sense, the effects begin spreading into every part of society, including politics, culture, education, and everyday life. From heavy regulation and weaker crime policies to growing division on college campuses and media influence, he describes a system that lost its balance when people stopped accepting open disagreement. According to Maher, America was once built around debate, discussion, and shared values, but now the country feels more divided than ever, with both sides moving further apart. Whether people agree with his perspective or not, his warning remains the same. The moment a society stops questioning itself honestly and avoids difficult conversations, it slowly begins losing the foundation that once kept it strong. And with that, we are wrapping up today's video. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.